Welcome back to the channel. I'm Altoid Bricks. Today we're going to be going over every single site in Battlefield 6 for the DRS-IAR. I have unlocked everything from the basic iron sights all the way up to the thermal sights, what that sight picture looks like and what that feels like in the range, and we're going to discuss. This is the sight I'm currently using on my gun after testing all of them. This is my favorite. This is the BF2M 2.5X. I'm going to try to explain why I think this one is my favorite, but first let's go ahead and start with the very first sight, which is going to be the basic sight. So we're going to go through and aim each one of these down sight at some targets, take some shots, and hopefully this will help you pick which sight is your favorite. Okay, so right off the bat, I actually really like the basic sights. I've used these a lot for when I'm doing close quarters. They're good for single shot fire as well. And I just like how small it is. It's a very low profile sight. It has a really nice sight picture. The ring isn't too wide, it's not too large, and I like the little pitchfork at the end. I think that makes it really easy to aim this and get headshots with that single shot. So the basic sight, you can't really go wrong with. I really like the basic sight actually. The next sight is going to be the Miniflex 1X. And this sight, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really like how small the box is. The sight picture is super tiny. I do like how small the red dot is. I don't really like the blue tinge on the edges of the sight, so that's not really my favorite. I think there's definitely better options further down the list, so I personally don't like using this sight. The next sight is going to be the R-MR 1X. This one has a very similar style to it. I think it almost looks like it has a smaller sight picture. It has a little bit rounded top on it, but it has like a little blue turquoise tinge to it, which is a little bit strange. I don't really like that. The rim, the edge, the actual structure of the sight is pretty bulky, so I really don't like that either. So again, I'm not a fan of this sight at all. Here you can just kind of see that comparison. So they're very similar. This one has much smaller edge, and this one has a much thicker edge. So not as good of a sight picture as the previous sight. The next sight is going to be the OSA-7 1X sight. This one has that sort of turquoise tinge to it as well. It's the only one that has a green reticle also, and so this one is a little bit strange. I don't mind it though. It's a little bulky on the left side, but not too bad. It's got a decent sight picture. The actual circle itself, the structure of the sight is very low profile, which I like. So this is actually probably my favorite of the really close-up sights. I think it has the lowest profile and provides the best sight picture. I just don't really like that turquoise circle around it, around the edge. And you can see that there's a little bit of a reflection happening when you're looking at the light, which I don't like. I find that distracting. In this game, it's very fast-paced, so any distraction is going to negatively affect your gameplay. I don't like that either. The sight's not my favorite. I just want a clear sight picture, and that's it, with no tinge of any color. The next one's going to be the CQRDS 1.25X. This one is absolutely terrible. I hate this sight. It's super bulky. It looks like it has horns. The sight picture is super small. I find this to be an absolute terrible sight. I would not use this personally. The next one is the RO-S 1.25X sight. This sight is much better. It still has a little bit of a weird edge on it. It's much less bulky, and I do like the more uniform circle sight picture. I do find this to be a lot easier to use. It has a really nice small red dot. This of the kind of more close-up ones is probably one of my favorites. Much better. Doesn't have quite as much distortion around the edge of the sight as well. So this is a great close quarters option. I actually really like this sight. Going down to the next row, we have the next sight. This is going to be the TPRO 1.25X. I absolutely hate this sight. The shape of it is very weird and it's kind of distracting. The light is refracting off of the sight as well, making it just a little bit distracting. The 4 red circles around the center reticle I find super distracting. I absolutely hate this sight. I would never use it. The next one is going to be the ROX 1.5X sight. This one is much better than the previous one, but also very strange. I don't like what's happening on the bottom of the sight picture with those little hooks coming up and that extra thick right side make this feel unbalanced. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it feels, so I would never use this sight either. The next sight is going to be the SU-231 1.5X. And this one is much better. It is pretty bulky though. The actual structure of the sight is very thick, and the circle around the reticle is okay. It's better than some of the thicker ones that we have in Battlefield 6, but this one I'd say is definitely okay. Good, not great. I don't like how bulky it is. I feel like it's just the sight picture I wish was a lot bigger, especially compared to some of the sights coming up in this list. I probably wouldn't use that one. The next one's the 1P87 1.5X. This one is actually much better. You'll probably recognize this from the SMGs. This one is one of the first sights that you unlock for some of the SMGs, and I find this one to be pretty good. It's a little distracting, a little weird, and also pretty bulky on the bottom, and the sight picture is pretty small, so I just don't like that small sight picture. It just seems like a waste to me, so I don't waste my time with that. I just always look for the ones that have the largest sight picture. However, this sight is decent in the class of 1 to 1.5x. All right, the next one's the A-P2 1.75x. This one I don't like at all. It feels very strange. It's a little taller than it is wide, and it has that same sort of, I don't know why on such a small sight picture they would add that blur effect on the border. I feel like it's already so small. Why not just give me a clear sight picture when I'm looking through the sight? And maybe there's some realism aspect to this that I'm not considering, so call me out for that in the comments, but it just seems like, this is an arcade shooter, this is a video game, like maybe make it as good as possible, and some realism I think is okay to lose if it improves the gameplay in a significant way. The sight picture I think is really important to have a really solid sight picture. These just seem so small. I don't know, it doesn't seem useful for me, so I always go away from these sights. I don't like using them, they don't feel good, so. The next one's the RO-M 1.75x sight, and this sight is incredible. I actually really like this sight as far as some of these more close-up ones. It's just got that uniform circle. It's a little bulky on the top and right, which I don't like, but I do think the sight picture makes up for that. However, it also has a little bit of a color change. It has this distortion effect around the ring, which is okay, I guess, but it's a little distracting, but I do like that sight. It is pretty good. Next is the 3VZR 1.75x. This one is okay. It's got a better sight picture than the square reticles, square red dots, but it's so bulky on the left top and right side that I would steer clear of this one. I just feel like it just creates such a big blind spot. It just doesn't feel good to use to me. So this one is the CCO 2X sight. Got the blue tinge around the outside of the sight. It's bulky on the bottom left corner, top and right. This one, it just doesn't look good to me. I don't like it. I like the red dot portion of it, but that's the only thing I like. The rest of the sight, I just absolutely hate. The next one is the R4T 2X sight. This one, I like the actual reticle. I wish that it didn't have the red circle around it. At least the red is thin and not thick. However, the sight itself is so bulky, it does not look good on the right side at all. It's very distracting, huge blind spot. So I feel like this sight is worthless personally. Don't like it at all. The next sight is going to be the BF-2M 2.5x. This is my favorite sight in the game for this weapon. It feels super good. I really like the tall red line with the little arrow, and then you have those two black lines going from the center. It looks very clean. It looks very pleasing to the eye. It's a little bulky on the left side, and it has a little bit of dark around the exterior on the edges of the sight picture. This has been my favorite sight to use. It feels so clean and smooth. It just has a great sight picture. I really like it. All right, the next one is going to be the Baker 3X. And this is a great sight, actually. This is super simple. It's got a little bit of a thick structure to it. I really like the reticle. I really like the little black line with the dashes on it. It just looks great. The only thing I don't really like is the size of the red dot. I wish that red dot was a little more closely resembling the size of the white reticle when you're just using hipfire. However, I think that is a moot point because this is a really great sight all around. So I highly recommend this sight as well. In my opinion, this is a great one. It does have a little bit of distortion going on around the edges. It's not super bad. There's no tinge in color or anything. It just feels great when you're looking down this sight. So yeah, this one is awesome. The next one is going to be the SDO 3.5x. This is a great sight as well. I really like the way this one feels. It's got a medium sight picture. It has a lot of bulk on the right side though, so I usually steer clear of this one because the last two were so good. It's like, why sacrifice the extra field of view or just the extra visibility when you don't have to? So unfortunately, even though I like the reticle on this one, that big bulky part on the right side just makes this unusable for me. It just blocks out so much of the screen. It's just not helpful. So unfortunately, I don't use this one, but maybe you guys will like this one. But yeah, for me, this is a pass. All right, going down to the next row, we have the PVQ-314X sight. This is another sight that I actually use often in game. It has that little bit of blue around the edges, and it has some thick structure as well, but definitely not as thick as some of the other sights that we've looked at so far. I really like the simplified reticle with just the red and black with the arrow. It seems very clean. It's easy to see. It's got a nice wide sight picture. So this one is an easy go-to for me. I use this a lot, actually, especially on this weapon in particular. I find it to be very effective. So yeah, I highly recommend this sight, actually. All right, the next sight we're going to do is the LDS 4.5x sight. This is one of my favorite sights in the entire game. It has a little bit of bulk on the left side. However, the sight picture is enormous. It's super clean. It just looks great. It is just fantastic. I love this sight. The exterior is, the structure itself is really nice and thin. Distortion ring is not distracting with any sort of coloration or anything, and you can just see how clean this looks. The lines themselves are pretty clean. I almost wish that the cross itself was thinner instead of having those bold parts on it. I don't really like that. So that'd be my one critique on this, and maybe even take away the top 3 and just leave the red dot and bottom line. That would probably make this even better. Even that, this is still a really, really good sight and has great visibility. It's a great sight. I love this one. The next sight that we're going to do is the ST PRISM 5X sight. And this one I don't like, and you probably already know why. You're probably sensing a theme here, so that we have that blue tint around the edges again, and we have some pretty big obstructions on the bottom left corner and the top that are blocking our view a little bit. So for me, there'd be no point in using the sight. There's just better sights available that just do a better job, that have less distracting colors and mechanics going on. So yeah, I steer clear of this one. I don't think I've used this one very much. You can probably tell why. There's also some weird distortion happening when you have that coloration. So for the ones that don't have the coloration, it's just not as bad. You can just see, look at how much better this is. Like, why would you ever use that other sight? It just makes no sense. This one's so much wider. You can just see so much more. Smaller sight picture and more blockage and the coloration. It's like, no, I think that's terrible. The next one is the SFG2 5X sight. This one is terrible. I absolutely hate this sight, actually. So there's a whole lot of distortion happening. You have those 3 huge red markers, and I feel like that just ruins this sight. And you can look at how much distortion there is on the outside. It's so distracting. So this sight is terrible. It looks so bad. So don't even waste your time. Look at how much. It's just like, when you're playing in a game that's really fast-paced, where you have to make quick decisions, it's like that kind of stuff is a decision you have to learn to ignore when you're using the sight. It's a waste of your energy. Don't even put your brain through that. Just never put this sight on your gun, and you'll be in a better state. Just use iron sights rather than this thing, for real. The next sight is the first of the variables, the SU230 LPVO. And this one, I'm sure you can already tell what I'm going to say. This is disgusting. I hate this sight so much. Why? The color change to me is just, I don't like it. Like if I was playing Arma Reforger and it was nighttime and there's flares coming down, then this sight might be the perfect sight in that specific situation. But any other situation, if there's a bright light or anything, everything's looking washed out. It's not looking good. I like the sight reticle and the lines. That seems like actually from some of the other ones previously that we looked at, but it just has this horrible turquoise tint, and I just think it looks absolutely terrible. So I'll never use this on any of my guns just for that specific reason. And so for the variable, this is where it starts. For me, when I click in on the left stick, that's when I can actually start to zoom in. So I'll go ahead and do that here. Then you can see this one has almost like a reptile, like a crocodile eye on it. You know, it's got that flash that goes by. I hate it. I think this is terrible. It's really distracting. It's a 1 through 4x, but you really only have 2 options with this sight. So I think this is just really a low quality sight and does not suit me well. However, you'll see in a second that actually just having the 2 distances can be useful, because when you have more than that, it can actually cause you a different problem, which we'll go over when we look at the next sight. So this one is the MARS-F LPVO sight. This is a 1 through 5. This sight is incredibly good. I really like the way that it looks. However, the one issue that I'm finding with these variable sights is that they're only one directional. When you are clicking in your left thumbstick to zoom in deeper and deeper, like here we'll start, and so this is the closest sight picture, and then we'll go ahead and click in the thumbstick here, and we'll start to see how many levels we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so you have 5 different layers that you have to go through before you can get back to your close sight. So if you're finding yourself in a firefight, it's really difficult to quickly switch between a long distance and a short distance if you're in the middle. It'd be really nice to be able to go back, like if you held a specific button, or maybe there's a different keybind you'd have to use. to be able to, instead of just going one direction, always zooming in until you get to the end and then zooming back to the beginning. If I could zoom in one level and then zoom back to my previous level, that would be much more helpful. So for that reason, I just find these sights useless because in an actual firefight, it just takes too long and it's just too much decision making. I need something that I know is going to be the exact same distance every time. These just cost too much when I could just use something that I feel like is a little bit better. But if you really like the sight picture, then you can just pick the distance that you like, leave it there, and then you're good to go. So for that purpose, these are really great, but I really do like this. It feels more like a sniper scope. If you really like that type of reticle style, that sight picture, then this is definitely a great option for you. It's very clear, not a lot of distortion or anything, so I do highly recommend it in specific purposes for people that are looking for a certain type of gameplay. The next one is going to be the MC-CO LPVO. This is a 1 through 6x. And this one has a pretty weird distortion pattern on it. I don't really like the reticle. It feels a little bit strange. It has that weird pop on the right side, taking up some valuable peripheral vision. And so this one is just so much better. As you can see, that this is just much larger and there's not as much obstruction on either side. It just has that one little tab on the top left, which doesn't affect me at all. I actually really like it, but here you can see this one has a little bit of a distortion effect. And so if we go back to the 1 through 6, you can see this one has that distortion effect as well. So that is definitely something to look out for. I just don't like that it distorts it. I feel like that just messes with my brain, so I don't like that. So yeah, not a fan of this sight. But let's go ahead and zoom in on it, and I'll show you the different levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. And so this one, I don't like the 4 red markers. I feel like they get in the way. Just take those off completely. I don't like it at all. And they get bigger as you zoom in. So I feel like it just takes up more space in the sight picture. So this is incredibly ugly sight. I don't like it at all. But that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I steer clear of this one every time. I don't like it at all. All right, the next sight that we're going to do, another variable, 1 through 6. This is the DVO LPVO, 1 through 6X. And this one has a great reticle. I really like this sight picture too. I hate the pop top. It just blocks so much peripheral vision. It's so ugly. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Just take that off. Just rip that off. If it didn't have that on it, this one I think would be a great sight, but it takes up a lot of peripheral vision, so it's really unfortunate. Go ahead and zoom in on this guy, and we'll see the different levels. So we got 1, 2, 3. 4 different sight spots. You kind of get to pick which like of these variable sights you like the most, but then you also get to pick how many levels of zoom that you actually have. So one that only has 2 levels is a lot easier to use in combat. One that has more levels, like upwards of 4+, it gets much more difficult to use in combat. It's one more thing to remember that you can forget in a firefight that will get you killed. For that reason, I stay away from these variable sights unless I'm trying to literally be a sniper with the DRS, and I just don't do that very often. I just use a sniper for that, so there's not really any purpose for it, in my opinion. Now that we've gotten through all of those, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the thermal sights. I did 2 different videos that showcased the thermal sights in the range and then also took them in to see some gameplay. So if you want to see those are available. We will go ahead and finish out this video of all sights for the DRS by showing you these thermals. And first we're going to start with the Grim 1.5x thermal. And this I really like. The thermals are always going to be a little more bulky. That's just due to the nature of being a thermal. It has to be a little bit nerfed, so the outside is definitely a little bit thick, but this one's not bad. I really like the reticle. The really thin red, I think, looks beautiful. However, there is some weird distortion vibration effects, it looks like, when you're looking through this at certain patterns in the game, so that can kind of throw you off and look like movement sometimes. So I don't really like that. I will say that this is a really great sight, so I highly recommend it. All right, and the last sight is the PAS-35 3x thermal sight. This is the bulkiest sight in the game by far, and you can see how much of the peripheral vision it's blocking. Also, one other strange thing with this is that the sight picture itself is being cut on the top and bottom, almost looks like a shadow, so you're really getting a rectangular picture there, and you're losing some top and bottom, so it's very small sight picture. However, I actually really like this sight. It's very useful. If you haven't used these in a battle royale in the red sec yet, I definitely think that you should try it out because it makes it so you don't have to hold the airstrike in your inventory if you're just looking to do that for the thermal capability. It's always nice to have that, but just to have a weapon that has thermal on it, when you're perched up. Having it on your LMG or something is so useful. You can really lay down accurate cover fire, and you can see all types of different things when you do that. I find it to be extremely useful. I highly recommend this sight. Just beware about the reduced sight picture and the bulkiness of it. With that said, that's every single sight tested for the DRS in Battlefield 6. Let me know what your favorite sight is in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.